This is January 29, 1988. It's Kansas Day at the library. We're getting ready to go out to the Dietrich Cabin for a presentation of Christmas at the Cabin. I was busy finishing up preparations for Christmas dinner. It's 1866 and the Civil War with its hard times and border raids is over. Catherine's 11 short years in America have been difficult ones. Since coming from Sprendlingen, Bavaria in 1855, Catherine has traveled from Connecticut, where she and Jacob were married, to Chicago and then on to Kansas, settling on a site southwest of what is now Princeton. Their first cabin burned in a prairie fire in 1858, leaving them with nothing but 2 hand towels, sole remnants of the linens woven by the Sprendlingen town weaver. Jacob, with the help of his brother John, who had established a sawmill on Middle Creek, built the second cabin, where we are now, in 1859. Their first child, a little girl named Barnetta, died in infancy. But 3 sons, John, Charles, and Frank, were born and are thriving. However, 3 months after Frank's birth, his father, Jacob Dietrich, died of pneumonia. After 2 years of struggling to support 3 small children alone, the widow married Jacob Puderbach, a prosperous farmer. They now have a baby girl named Addie. Soon Catherine will be coming downstairs. She'll have a visit from her good friend and closest neighbor, Angeline Gentry. This will be the best year so far. It's Christmas Eve, 1866.
Johnny, you must keep the others quiet. You're the oldest, my little man. I have so much to do tonight, and see, Addie has finally gone to sleep. We mustn't wake her. Keep your brothers up here and in bed. Oh, Lord, thank you for your Christmas blessings of peace and a good harvest and our new baby girl.
Catherine, it's me!
Sister Angeline! Come in, come in! Take off your cloak and warm yourself by the fire. Is the creek frozen over?
Oh, yes. It's solid ice. And so am I, nearly.
Well, have some tea. That'll warm you.
How's little Addie?
Oh, she's been an angel, but I'm afraid for her. Frankie's taken the croup, and if she gets it, I don't know what I'll do. She reminds me sometimes of Barnetta out there. I just couldn't bear to lay another one in that cold ground.
Well, now, don't borrow trouble, Kate. Addie'll be fine. I brought her a little something for her first Christmas.
Oh, Angie, with 8 babes of your own, finding time to make Addie a doll?
With nothing fancy. Got some nuts for the boys. One for each. And some of that plum jelly you and Jacob like. Where is the man?
Oh, he's finished the chair today with the fiber, and so he's fetched it over there so as they'd have it for Christmas.
That's so like him. Land of Goshen! Look at that! A real Christmas tree right in your house! Is that a German custom?
We always had one in the old country, yes. Don't you have one?
Not very many folks have one in their house, but the newspaper tells of a tree they're having at Lathrop Hall this evening. People pay to come to the gathering, and they bring presents for their children to find beneath it. Mercy sakes!
I'll never know how you manage gifts for all your brood.
Oh, same way you do, Kate.
Let me show you what I've made. I've worked this cap for Addie.
For the baby.
And this muffler for Jacob. Well, he needs a new shaving brush, but I just couldn't find the money for one. And after he's just finished building me a new ice house, 10 feet square.
Goodness.
Oh, stockings and mittens for the boys.
Mm-hmm. Need those.
And look, Jacob's made Charlie this top.
Oh, with hot. So much.
And Frankie gets these animals.
Oh my goodness! A cow and a horse. Oh, and a little pig. Look at that. Oh my.
And Johnny gets this box with a whetstone inside.
Stone hole, you'll use that.
And we got each one an orange.
Oranges.
Oh, except the baby, of
Oh,
course.
yes.
I made you a stolen.
Stolen?
A special German Christmas cake. And some Pfeffernusse. It's been so many years since I had enough wheat flour to bake them. I feared I wouldn't remember how. Back home in Germany, we used to bake for weeks before Christmas. This year's a bit like those.
Now, what did you call these?
Pfeffernusse. Pepper nuts. You make them with pepper.
Black pepper?
Yes, and other spices. Try one, they're good. Mary Costigan used to get me the spices at the Sack and Fox Trading Post, but they're much cheaper at the Toy Jones store in Ottawa.
What's on the fire?
That's schnitz. You know, apples.
Oh, dried apples.
They're for the filling of my schnitz pie.
Oh.
And this is my dumpling soup.
Smells good.
And Lebkuchen. Gingerbread.
Oh.
And Hutzelbrot. Fruit bread. And our biggest goose.
Oh, such a feast. How many will be here?
Well, we will be taking food over to John Walrus for dinner. You know, he's just finished bringing his brother's family over from Germany, so it's to be a party to welcome them as well as a Christmas feast. There will be our 6, John and Catherine Dietrich, and John and Catherine Walruff, and however many there are in his brother's family. I haven't met them yet.
Walrus is really getting to be a man of means. County treasurer. I'm sure he was able to help his brother with affairs. We'll have our 8, and Uncle Jack Johnson, and Zach and Henry, and Miss Katie Davis, the new teacher at Ivy School, and the missionaries, the Carls from Mount Olivet. Oh, by the way, John went up to Ottawa last week, and you know it's just growing and growing. He says that Major Elder, who has a farm here in Ohio Township, is building a 2-story brick house with 10 rooms and a limestone curb clean around the corner of the block.
Imagine the cost. When Jacob and our first cabin burned down, we had to both hire ourselves out to neighbors just to get enough cash together to build this one.
They say it's costing him $10,000. Oh, and that's not all. He's president of the new bridge company. He's raising $8,000 to build a new suspension bridge across the river at the Ottawa Ford. It says here it'll have a 150-foot span and a double track elevated over stone abutments. folks will have to pay a toll, or they can still ford the good old way. Oh, but the new bridge will be elegant, strong, and durable. He says it'll draw a vast amount of traffic to Ottawa. How grand! Oh, and here's the best part. Masons, laborers, teamsters, and carpenters can give labor in exchange for partial stock in the company. My John could help with that. And what we must pay, we can take from our savings. We sold all our hanging meat from the smokehouse to travelers. And we were saving that money for a trip to Lawrence on the new railroad. But this will really be a good investment. With the new bridge, the whole town will grow fast. And then we can all afford to go to Lawrence on the cars whenever we like. Oh, it is so wonderful that Ottawa has such go-getters as Major Elder and Reverend Halleck, John Waller, men of vision. Oh, and good Christians too. That's what my husband John says.
Just think, when Jacob and I first came to Ottawa, it was just an Indian fort on a river, just empty prairie.
John said that an Indian, a Muncie, told him it wasn't a good site for a town, that it'll flood.
Well, if it hasn't flooded in all the rain we've had, I reckon it won't ever. If it isn't rain, it's drought or grasshoppers. Such a country.
That's right. Would you like to practice reading your English?
Oh, I've no time to study tonight. Just read me something about Christmas.
Old Christmas is coming. Old Christmas is coming, with ruddy cheeks glowing, his iron gray locks twined with red-berried holly, his arms full of mistletoe, smiling and vowing to banish dull care and pale-faced melancholy. Then come forth to meet him, with smiles you must greet him, with eyes beaming brightly and hearts beating lightly. The rich and the old hail this time of rejoicing, the rich and the poor alike join with one voice in welcoming merry old Christmas. Old Christmas is coming, though winter be sprinkling his snowflakes without, within will be merry. We'll joyfully welcome old Christmas.
Isn't that lovely? Oh, here's my Christmas present. A letter from home.
A letter.
Of course it's in German.
Oh, you must miss your home in Germany, especially at Christmas.
Yes. The Christmas trees there are decorated with candles and straw ornaments and cookies strung on pretty red ribbons. And the houses smell like cinnamon and chestnuts for weeks. And on Christmas Eve, around dusk, there's a special mass for children. Then, at the sign of the first star, the candles are lit on the Christmas trees, and the Christ child brings the presents. Later on, there's a midnight mass where wonderful fish dinners are served, and at noon on Christmas Day there are feasts of goose and pork and turkey and ham and every kind of cake and fruit.
Oh, this all sounds like a fairy story.
Oh, it's all true, and it doesn't end there. Until 12th night, little boys dressed as the three kings go from house to house in the village where they get more cookies and cakes. My boys would be doing that if they were there.
You must miss it dreadfully.
Sometimes. But what I miss most is the sound of the bells ringing all through the valley at midnight. You'll think I'm foolish, but come midnight, I'll go outside and ring that dinner bell, even if it wakes the children. It makes me feel closer to my family. My grandfather rang those bells all his life.
Well, Kate, I've got to get down to the trail and meet John. I know we have a lot to do yet, too, before Jacob comes home.
That's so, but I'm so sorry to see you go. Have a wonderful Christmas.
Oh, you too. Oh, by the way, how do you say Merry Christmas in German?
Fröhliche Weihnachten.
Right. Oh, I can't get my tongue around that. Oh, Merry Christmas, Kate. Merry Christmas now.
Bye, Angeline.
Goodbye.
Merry Christmas. Yes, I think it will be.
Catherine's second marriage to Jacob Huderdebaugh only lasted 8 years, as he too died young. But Catherine raised her family alone and saw to it that they all had educations. John, her eldest, became an educator and superintendent of schools. Charles farmed locally and became an Ottawa merchant. He married one of Angeline Gentry's daughters, and so Catherine and Angeline became in-laws. Frank taught at Ottawa University and later became a U.S. Circuit Court judge. Catherine lived to be nearly 93. When asked to relate stories of her early pioneer years, she would refuse, murmuring, "It was hard, so hard." This cabin that saw so many Christmases was used as a farmhouse and a hay barn. In 1959, Mrs. Robert Galt, a granddaughter of Catherine and Jacob Dietrich, gave it to the Franklin County Historical Society. And it became the focal point of Franklin County's celebration of the Kansas Centennial in 1961. As it welcomed travelers when it stood on the Humboldt Trail southwest of Princeton, it continues to greet visitors on summer Sunday afternoons and occasional winter evenings. Fröhliche Weihnachten.